Hi, I'm Michael Hartman,
I'm Naomi Liu.
And I'm Mike Rizzo, and this is OpsCast,
a podcast for marketing ops pros
and RevOps pros.
Created by the Mo Pros, the #1 community for marketing operations professionals.
Tune in to each episode as we chat with real professionals to help elevate you in your marketing operations career.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of OpsCast, brought to you by marketinghouse.com, powered by all the Mo Pros out there. I'm your host, Michael Hartman, joined today by Mike Rizzo. Say hello, Mike.
Hey.
What's
this is a new thing for us. We're going to do video, guy.
I know,
people,
right?
Mo Pros, all you people out there, we're going to use video from now on.
I don't know how this is going to go. I've got a face for radio, so tying into the music talk we had before we started recording. Yeah. All right. So joining us today to talk about the potential impacts of AI in business operations is Kobi Stok. Kobi is a serial entrepreneur with 2 decades of experience in building software. He currently leads Forwrd.ai, an automated data science platform built for RevOps. Previously, he was with WalkMe, where he led the global product strategy with a focus on scale, growth, and innovation. He joined WalkMe through the acquisition of Abby.io, a mobile AI company where he was co-founder and CTO, leading the product and technology. Prior to WalkMe, he was the founder CEO of a consumer music tech company with millions of users. Early in his career, he was a software engineer, architect, and a manager at multiple startups, as well as SAP. So, Kobi, thanks for joining us today. Late in the evening for you.
Hello. It's a good thing that I just changed my camera as we're doing video. So full HD here.
Yeah,
there you go.
Full transparency. If I showed my background fully, you would see the in-process taking down of our holiday decorations. So I had to move a few things before. So
Nice,
stuff that I hadn't had to deal with in the past. So all good. Well, so you founded Forwrd.ai not too long ago. It was recently you started it. You call it an automated data science platform. So for us and our listeners, what does that mean to you, and how should we be thinking about that?
Yeah. So actually, every time, so that's my 3rd company that I'm starting, right? And every time that I start a company, I try to, before I, check the market and check the need, I try to solve my own problem. That's like number 1. And in my previous role, we were trying to build a model that will predict churn based on product usage. Right? Think about it. We were a product company collecting tons of data, and we're trying to build a model that will basically use this data, right, and actually surface accounts that are at risk, so we get a heads up and we can create some sort of a mitigation. And it took us a year to do it.
A year.
It took us 1 year to do it. And it was complex. We needed to involve like at least 20 people. Half were technical, half were from the business. We talked about it so much and the process was so long, right? But when we finished it, after a year plus even, and we launched it, then what we did, we basically surfaced those insights to the customer success team in our case. And the impact was amazing. It really changed how the customer success team operates on the day-to-day, not on a specific moment, right? And even afterwards, we modified the compensation of the reps based on the model. So I saw the impact and I saw the investment, and I said it's too long to make those investments. I mean, most companies won't even start. Right? And if you think about it, companies are collecting so much data these days.
Mm-hmm.
And the data costs money. It takes time to arrange it. It takes an effort to arrange it. They are building tons of dashboards, right? But by the end of the day, people are not really data-driven in the day-to-day.
No.
It's just
I think
something.
there's a lot of people either claim that they, especially marketers, claim that they either are or want to be data-driven. I'm not even sure they know what that means.
Yeah. The best case scenario is that companies have good management dashboards that provide visibility on the C-level, right? Mm-hmm. On the leadership team. But when you go down to the people who actually manage the business, right? Manage the product, the day-to-day with the customers, support, finance, they don't have this information, right? And they don't have this information because it's really hard.
Yeah.
And let's imagine that a company have unlimited resources of data science internally. Then, using data science methods, they would be able to surface those insights or data or whatever, right? But they don't have it. So automating data science means that we are selling you a piece of software that acts like hundreds of data science professionals, right? That are working on your data to build models that are fueling business processes in your organization, to make them more automated, to surface insights or signals that will help the team to perform better, to surface alerts or emails, right, with specific call to actions, to improve forecasting, and basically every business KPI that you can imagine. So that's what we do today.
That's interesting.
Right?
What's really strikes me is interesting is that when I first made my transition from doing IT management consulting, mostly with accounting and finance, real estate type environments, into marketing, it was to do database marketing, so data warehousing. And we had a team of, today they would be called data scientists, but statisticians who did things like churn prediction and likelihood to convert and all those kinds of models. This was a big telecom company, and it was my job was to build a database to help with go-to-market activity, right? So 50 million household database, and the data processing and the amount of data that we had to acquire and then analyze was huge, and it cost a lot of money. It was a huge effort. It could only be up to, what you're describing, it's almost surprising me that is still a challenge at many places. You know what I mean?
Very, very big challenge. I think that data became more complex. So every time that someone, any company improved something, then another complexity layer thing happened, and then it became more complex. And I think that in the past, let's say 5 to 7 years, we were in a race before that of, hey, I need to collect data, right? Everyone was in a race. I need to collect more data. Right? And now everyone stopped collecting data. They have enough data. Now, how do I get ROI on those huge investments that we just did? And we bought Snowflake, and we bought Salesforce, and we have HubSpot, and we have Marketo, and we have Segment, and we have product analytics, and like so many things that essentially so much value, right? There's inside so many things you can drive, but just don't have the resources, and it's too complex to even start. And so my goal was, how do I make people start? Forget about the right.
Yeah. I think, and it's so interesting to be at this intersection of this like data aggregation and collection phase that we've been going through for the last couple decades, where it was like, I don't know. I think for some companies, it's going to feel a little bit like a retirement plan. Like you've been piling this data away for a while, and eventually it'll have a payoff. Hopefully a good one.
Exactly.
And for others, it'll feel like, let's just scrap the last 10 years and then take the most recent 5. And, so we'll look at the last 15 and take the most recent 5 and roll with that because our business changed a lot. But there's this, the opportunity now is everybody went, it's a little bit of a cop-out. I don't know. Maybe you don't feel this way, Kobi, but it's a little bit of a, oh, well, now I don't have to think quite as hard. Like AI's here. So cool. Let's figure out how to use the data now, which I think is great, right? Like we've all kind of just been waiting for this moment to go, how on earth am I supposed to get my arms around this massive mishmash of information?
Sure.
And today we finally, like for a number of us, we're going, oh, this is the way, right? We're doing a research project right now in marketing ops. We decided to break apart our State of the MoPro research to go deeper on some subjects. And one of them is on this area of the state of go-to-market data. And to your point, Michael, it's fascinating that like we're still faced with so much of these challenges. So far, the responses to the question of the top 3 priorities in the next 12 months, number 1 is unifying data across platforms. So like data integration in general, which makes a ton of sense. Here we are. Number 2 is, data quality and hygiene is number 1. Number 2 is unifying data across the platforms. And number 3 so far in the research is automating reporting and dashboards. You kidding me?
This all sounds like the same thing from 10 years ago.
2010. Yeah.
That was like, what? We've been doing this for a long time. Why are we still worried about automating? Like, that's crazy. And yet it's still a priority. And like, I'm not dissing anybody for not having figured this out. I mean, I still pull manual reports too. But I think that's exactly why you're trying to work on Forwrd, right? Like you're saying, hey, let me help you get started. Let me start showing you a path, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Anyway.
I think that you're right. And I think that the intuition that we had as operators 7 years ago and 10 years ago, I think that the intuition was very good.
Yes.
It's like when you're calling customer service today, you get like this message, hey, we are recording this call to improve our service, blah, 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 right? No one is going through this.
Just roll my eyes every time I hear that.
Improve, right? But now maybe, right? Now they have the ability to actually do that. So I think the intuition of collecting data, right? It's like me buying sneakers. I don't know when I'm going to actually wear them, but I'm buying just in case, and I will find like the best, event or occasion to kind of use them. So I think that people used like the intuition was right. Let's collect data. We'll figure it out later, right? But I think that the complexity also grew.
Yeah,
and I think that
connecting and the volume grew. The volume has done nothing but get big. Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, yeah, and the integration layers got easier to make. It became easier to add more, right? And everybody said, I mean, we know from our research year over year, martech.org has talked about it. Scott Brinker's talked about it. Our State of the MoPro research talks about it. Integration is the number one thing, and it's proven to propagate this big challenge of, okay, now there's even more for us to access, but what do I do with this stuff?
Well, I cut you off. So I have my theory on why a lot of companies struggle on this, because we've talked about a lot of reasons why, but I think it ultimately comes down to in your point, Mike, about data hygiene and quality being the number one concern is the fact of it is it generally doesn't get the kind of attention because of at least 2 reasons. One, it's not immediately obvious why it's valuable, right? So doing that work on cleaning the data doesn't generate immediate and obvious results. So it's taking you away from doing other stuff that is more obvious, like building more emails, building more campaigns, et cetera, right? So there's this just how visible is it is one. The second part of that to me is I have yet to meet anyone who goes, our data is great, right? Yeah. So I think there's this fear when you say, when you go like, my data is not clean, so therefore I probably need to do that before I start doing any kind of reporting because I don't trust the data. The data is not complete, not right. Whatever the term you use is, which I keep coming back to going like, first off, that assumption that you can't get any value out of the reporting until your data is quote right is a false one, right? I think by the nature of just doing reporting, it's gonna really highlight where there are issues, which then gives you the ammunition or the case to go like, we need to go fix and clean the data. And it could be an iterative process. And I think that's part one. Part two is this desire for dashboards versus something that's going to give me insights that I can make a decision about. I don't know that dashboards are always great at going. They may give you like a good, like, how do I feel about the general health of the organization or what I'm doing for go to market, but it doesn't really go like, what should I do next? What should I cut? What should I add? What should I, how should I adjust? And I think this, because you go into, like, I've gone into organizations like, oh, we want you to do, part of your job is going to be build dashboards. I'm always like, how about we do a few reports first? Like, let's get those right. Yeah. See if they help us before we start going to build a dashboard that is not going to probably help us. And it's going to be
it's
painful,
that storytelling.
Expensive. Yeah.
And the context that's needed. I've been in countless SaaS organizations that have, both a sales-led motion and a PLG-led side of the business. And you're trying to track free trials and starts and stops and crossovers between life cycle stages. And you inevitably get into a state of, well, is that person on a paid account or not? And dashboards actually create more questions, which is good. I'm not saying it shouldn't happen, but most of the time, if you don't have somebody trying to filter out the noise and just say, like, if I have to explain where the data came from every single time, then that's a problem. That's a data quality and hygiene issue that needs to be resolved.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, Mike.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I was just like thinking through how AI's impact on our ability to get to maybe some more focus and support around, I've got a couple of core priorities, and what are the sort of key assets that I have in my data lake, data warehouse, whatever, my integration layers. What are those that can help point me in the right direction?
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that's most exciting, is to try to use the phrase that I say all the time, right? Aim small, miss small, right? Like let's just focus on this thing. I don't know. Your thoughts, Kobi, on the state of all this stuff.
Yeah. First of all, I think that I have so much to say about dashboards, by the way, but I think that when my team, my customers, whatever, define an initiative or a task, I try to divide it into two classes, let's say, strategic or tactic. I think that for strategic initiatives, dashboards are, in some cases, the best output. And people need to see visuals, people need to see trends, people need to see stuff, right? But because dashboards are complex in high velocity businesses, now a very smart person needs to define the dashboards so they are readable. It's not a simple thing to do. To build a dashboard, forget the technical aspects, but the usability, it's not a simple thing to do, right? And second, to read the dashboard, it's not a simple thing to do. To tell the story behind it, it's not simple thing to do. For example, me and Michael can look at the same dashboard. Michael can decide, let's fire 50% of our workforce, and I can decide.
Thanks for putting that on me.
So, I try. And I can decide, let's hire 50% more on the same dashboards. Why? Sure. Because we saw two different things, because it's not deterministic. We need to kind of understand what's going on, right? So this stays on the executive level, but on the operational side of the business, those decisions can't be made. You want people to make decisions on the tactical fragments of the business. I have a churn problem. This customer can upsell, right? This lead may convert. This opportunity is at risk. So on and so forth. Those stuff are today unsolved.
Agreed.
Companies think they solve it, but they just define set of rules that they think that are the reality, but in most cases they don't know. And I also think that there's the approach of trying to prepare your data before you know what you want to do with it. It's a problem. People need to change, to flip the cassette, going back to our music convo before, right? Right?
Yep.
I think that now people needs to be target oriented rather than think about how they would solve it.
I want to make sure I understand what you mean by that. Target oriented versus how they want to solve it.
So let's say that we have a problem in the business, right? Let's say, I don't know, churn, whatever, right? And we want to figure out what's causing churn. Instead of trying to guess the data points and whatever, let's first understand if we know how to identify churn in our data, i.e. if we have a field that's called churn, yes or no, or whatever the case is, right? Obviously, you don't have this, but I don't know, like renewal opportunity close lost, whatever. Let's make sure that this process, every time that someone churned, we have this in the data, we know it's churned. Right? Mm-hmm. When we think like that, then we can analyze it better, right? Then what we need to do, what people need to do, is reverse engineering and not forward engineering, meaning let's trace backwards what caused this specific event that we know how to measure, right? Obviously, it's hard, right? It's CRM. People will tell you, hey, listen, it's CRM. Reps are not filling the data correctly. You can solve this as well. But because it's so much data today, so even if 20% are not filling the data correctly, or 30%, and 70% does this right, you will get the answers, right? Because you have so much data. And every time that customer or prospect, are coming to me, to us, everyone will like, look, my data is shit.
Yeah,
I know that. I know that for a fact. And I'm telling them for sure. The question is, what's the ratio?
Yeah.
You bring up such a good point.
What's the use case, right?
I love that you bring up this point of you pick the ratios, 30% bad, 40% bad. But you need to, I think this is like the mindset shift of going like, but that means that 70% is still good, or 60% is still good, or 80, that's the part that I think people get caught up in this is the portion that's questionable, bad, invalid, whatever, as opposed to how much is right. And I think to me, this is what I get at this data quality and going like, this is what's stopping people from moving forward with this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Because another problem is that people can measure it today. You don't know how bad/good is your data. By the way, my enterprise data can be good for lead scoring, account scoring, and bad for churn, whatever, right? So even today, when you have so many touch points, you have PLG, right? You have the calls are recorded, right? You have the emails that are with tracking codes all over the place. You know everything. So if you're using like simple platforms, right? If you use SSDC, HubSpot, Marketo, you already have most of it. Yeah. And people don't utilize it. People pay license, people pay big money, and they don't utilize the data, and then they come to us, listen, we have a problem, right? And then we kind of solve the problem faster. It's not like we invested anything new, but we just automated like a workflow that took so long and was super complex, and we broke it down to 8 different pieces, and we just simplified it. So instead of 10 people and 9 months with a fail rate of 90%, by the way, the fail rate at enterprises of internal data science projects is 90%. That's 90%. It's crazy. It's crazy. We had a prospect, I won't mention their name, and they are figuring out health score. Health score is like an indicator that indicates the health of a customer, right? And they spend 6 months, 2 people, building a health score, 2 data scientists. After 6 months, they stop and they check the correlation of the health score to churn. No correlation. They're like, oops. 6 months, 2 people.
Plus
Zero
whatever
results.
plus technology and other resources, right?
Yeah, all kinds of layers, right?
Even that, right? Today, with the public markets, with AI, with competition, you can't afford that. In 2021, in 2018, like, I can throw 10 people at a problem. If they won't solve it, no worries. I have, like,
it's around here, right?
Yeah.
all good, zero interest. I'll get more money from my VC. But now people need to change how they think. And if people want hyper automate, right? If people want to understand how to consume and how to utilize their data, they will use the button.
Hey, Opscast listeners. Ever wish you could just plug in your data and let AI handle the heavy lifting? Well, that's exactly what Forwrd.ai does. It's an enterprise AI platform trusted by SAP, HubSpot, JFrog, you name it. Forwrd connects all your scattered data sources and helps you build AI agents that can predict, forecast, segment, and automate tasks. The best part? It automates the entire data processing workflow, integrating, prepping, cleaning, normalizing, analyzing, and even building and operating your models. No more spending months with an entire data science team. With Forwrd, you can get it done 100 times faster. Use it for lead scoring, churn prediction, sales forecasting, and so much more. Want to see Forwrd in action? Head over to their website and discover just how easy AI can be. That's Forwrd.ai. Go check it out and let them know the folks at Opscast sent you.
Yeah. So, Kobi, like, to me, this is what I'm really interested to hear. When we start talking about what you're doing with Forwrd, I've always thought about this as like to get reporting analytics in go-to-market activities, in particular for B2B, where it's complicated and messy and incomplete, all those things we talked about. There's sort of two components that I've been hopeful that AI would be a part of solving. One is, helping to pull that data together and normalize it and clean it up kind of in an automated way that right now it requires typically a lot of human capital and technology and, exception rules and all that kind of stuff, right? And getting it cleaner over time. The other part is, I think what you just touched on, right? You hired 2 data scientists to build out a hypothesis and then go test it, as opposed to, letting, this is my ideal state, I think, is that you have AI that can go, rather than testing a hypothesis, it can go identify the patterns that you might not see or be able to come up with on your own to then test, and that it might be able to do that more effectively. I still think there's a place for humans in this process to be able to make sense of what is generated, because it still may be nonsense or something you can't action on. But are you addressing one or both of those sides of this problem?
Good. Yeah, good comments. I think that so we're solving all of that, from raw data to predictive models to segmentation models to forecasting models, up through activating your CRM and creating alerts and all of that. And the reason that we are doing everything, because the composition and having everything in one piece, that's the value that we bring to the table. That's the value that accelerates the process, because if we were doing only one thing, we didn't get we didn't get to the finish line, it will be stuck in the middle in the organization, right? So with AI, the data modeling piece, as you're referring to multiple data sources, how do we integrate the data modeling thing, is really in a way that it will be much more simpler, not fully automated, but much more simpler, right? So Mike could write like, a prompt, maybe drag some elements on the screen and set to. Okay. Now, in every step that you are doing as a builder, right, you get the human in the loop, meaning you're validating every step, because in some cases you would need to tweak or tune the initial output that the AI did.
Mhm.
In some cases, you'll be able to tweak it using prompts, and in some cases, prompts won't help you. Because when you go low resolution, in most cases, prompts will kind of, it's like, I'm trying to find an analogy, but it's like in golf, right? When you're so close to the hole and you're trying to make it, maybe the ball will be much far from the hole than you started. This is how prompts are with really small refinements, right?
Mhm.
And in some cases, you would need to do those small refinements in a UI, right? In a drop down or in an input box or in a drag and drop with whatever, right? So that's number one, right? On the data modeling piece. And number two, what you asked on the actual like human in the middle, of course, the AI or your data or statistics or math don't know anything about your business. They don't know that the field that you've used in HubSpot, this is just a copy of another field that's used for unit testing, whatever, just making it up.
I've been trying to say this to people for so long. You articulated that really well. Great example.
No, and like I was just like, every Salesforce instance I've been involved with has had some existing field that is supposed to be used for one thing be used for something else, because the process of adding a new field and all the integrations was so painful that, but if you didn't know that, you could misinterpret that data.
Yeah. But the thing is that you are now in a position to validate the data and to validate the points much better than you were before. And it's crazy. It's crazy. Now you can actually do it like I see people like marketing ops, rev ops, CS ops making an impact, like one person making an impact of 10. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing it day in and day out. It's really crazy what you can do with utilizing new technology, right? And rethink and think different about how we would solve it 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
And that's the part that like I've been definitely on the pedestal about without a doubt, is the opportunity for folks in this type of a role, marketing operations, rev ops, sales ops, CS ops, whatever ops role you have. I love the opportunity for the marketing ops folks, because in large part, you tend to have a lot more access to a lot more touch points than the other functional areas.
Yeah.
Everything from, anonymized, de-anonymized visitors and tracking at the top of the funnel through, did somebody become a closed won customer or churn?
Yeah.
Oftentimes you get to interact at some level with product data as well, because product marketers want to know usage and adoption of features and all those things. And I think you made a comment earlier, Kobi, about, starting with this, ensuring we understand the steps and the process to identify churn, right? And that we're all in agreement that those are the things that we think or need to have in place to identify churn, to then go after solving the problem, later. And that is no one else can have these conversations. Like really, truly, no one is as close to the systems as you are in marketing operations and revenue operations in general, using that term broadly, all you ops folks out there.
Yeah.
It is a really, really exciting time for you to go make an impact. And I love that you just said you had one person effectively making the impact of 10, right? And I think right now is the time to, whatever phrase you want to use, grab the bull by the horns or seize the day or whatever.
Absolutely.
Sink your teeth in to the art of the possible. And I'm going to say it again, start thinking like a product manager.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to hear it over and over again from our community and from me, and you're all going to probably get annoyed with me at some point, but you are the product manager of the go-to-market tech stack. And your job is to figure out how to best leverage all of these pieces of information to enable your internal teams to go to market, to enable your buyers who are buying your products and services to engage with your brand and your internal teams in a meaningful, effective, and scalable way. And you also, unfortunately for you, have to be aware of, is the brand being represented properly and are we legally compliant? And those are a lot of fun things that you have to manage, but they're all stakeholders that you have visibility across. And it sounds daunting, but for those of you that are in this role and you're having fun with it, it's actually really exciting.
Yeah.
And
I would add a third one, Mike.
That's how I translated for Kobi. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would just add the third one to your list there, which is being an advocate for the customer, because I think sometimes that gets lost. I mean, I don't know about your experience.
Sorry, if I didn't say that clearly. Yeah, you're absolutely right. If I didn't say it clearly enough, when I said, hey, you have to service the internal team members as well as the customers that are buying your products and services.
Yeah.
That's the part where you need to like hone in on that customer experience. How are they able to actually engage with us in an effective way that's also brand safe and compliant, right?
I would even add two more things in general that I think that are must-haves for every ops person out there, and especially these days. I think that number one is think like a builder.
Mm-hmm.
Think like a builder. That's what you need to. That's the mindset that you need to be in order to be very successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to build stuff. You don't need to build another you need to orchestrate those systems together somehow, right? And second, it's really work out it, because I think that again, doing the impact of 10 people, if you are successful in achieving that impact, I think that's the whole grail for everyone at ops. And I think that ops gets more like a center stage, not necessarily the singer of the band, but maybe the bass player or the lead guitarist, still referring to our earliest conversation.
Yep.
But that's as center as they would, as they ever had currently. And I think it will be even further down the road, because this is the platform that the business runs on.
Yep.
Well, so
it won't run. It won't run without it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting that you're seeing a 10x productivity gain using some of these tools, specifically around data analytics, insights, reporting, whatever you want to call it, because I believe for a long time, and this is why I've been really hopeful that AI would play a part in making this, I don't even want to say easier, but more scalable, is because I believe for a long time that it is an effort-based thing to do, right? It takes time, effort, and some expertise to be able to do effective data analysis and reporting, and to get insights that can then be used to impact a business. And so,
sorry.
Go ahead. No, I think that's what I'm really excited about, is hearing that this is maybe something that's actually happening.
That I think it is. And it's funny here, a word that we very rarely use in our sort of day-to-day world here, I suppose, I don't think I hear it all that often, is creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an interesting time, because while we don't fall into that creative marketer category, the one that we all think of traditionally, right, all
design.
The fun ads and the design and the cool campaign ideas. Although I will say there's a lot of marketing house people that come up with great ideas, like campaign wise.
Agreed.
This type of creativity it's a jigsaw puzzle that you are you are stitching together. You're actually making the jigsaw puzzle while you complete it.
Mm-hmm.
Like all at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating, right? It's like you're seeing you're asking questions that could lead to down paths that could answer questions that the business never even knew it had. Right. And I think it's a new type of creativity that in some ways is very freeing.
But keeps coming. I go back to one of our earliest guests, Randy Sanders, talking about how like thinking about this like chess, right? So I didn't even go beyond a puzzle, right? Because it's a puzzle that has probably multiple dozens of potential solutions, and I think that's how I think about it. But here's my concern, and Kobi, maybe you can chime in here too, because I've said this many times here, but I love the idea that the technology could make it so that someone who just doesn't have the bandwidth to be able to provide those insights, but has access to the data and understands it and the flaws in it and everything else, is that I am concerned that there's not enough knowledge or expertise in how to actually interpret the analytics and statistics or whatever you want to call it across most organizations and even in inside ops. So are you seeing some of the same stuff with your clients and customers or in your own experience? And do you have any thoughts on how to address that?
Yeah, that's a very interesting thing that you said, just Michael. I think that talented people across any profession are really hard to find. That's in general. I think that analysts and data scientists are really unique because they need to understand, they need to have technical chops, right? But in order to really find insight, they need to understand the business. The combination of one person being super technical and understanding the business is unique. Okay. My theory, right? And we are building the product as we built an AI agent inside of the product that's an analyst. We built an AI agent inside of the product that's a scientist. Meaning we kind of lead the ops person to a journey where we ask them the questions, right? Think about a very precise process that they go through, right? And then the AI execute the job of an analyst and scientist, because the problem is that in most cases, you don't have enough of them at a specific point. Yeah. So, right, every question that you ask today, let's say we don't have AI, let's go back 3 years or 4 years. Every question that you ask on the go-to-market front, you would needed someone else to help you around. You couldn't answer questions on your own.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's so complex, right? In most cases, you need to export the data, then you need to have a Python notebook, and then blah, blah, blah. It's really complex.
Yeah.
Right? But today, the same process is happening, but someone else is driving the wheel, and it's not a person. Mm-hmm. So what we're seeing is that we are freeing the organization from those headcounts that are expensive and can't operate in the two fronts of the data and the business, and we're enabling the business to run it. Now, a little kind of clarification here. For the very strategic initiatives, AI is not still there. But for the tactical initiatives, let's understand why customers churn. Let's understand apps. Like all those, AI can definitely do this. And we do it day in, day out. Right? So
Great.
I hope that I answered the question, Michael.
I think so. I'm sure. I think we could probably carry on for quite a bit longer, but I think we're going to have to wrap it up here. Kobi, if folks want to keep up with you, connect with you, or learn more about what you're doing at Forwrd.ai, what's the best way for them to do that?
Cool. So maybe before I answer that, I want to add one sentence on the data hygiene piece that Mike mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So while we're implementing Forwrd, right, we automate every piece. So there are many problems that we see along the way. What Mike said about data quality or data hygiene, that's the number one problem that we see as well. In every case out there, right? And I'm excited that's the first time that I talk about it, but we are launching an agent that puts data hygiene on autopilot.
Okay. I like it.
So,
all right.
So every data hygiene problem, you can use the agent to solve it. I'm not sure it can solve everything, right? But we mapped 200 problems that we have heard from our customers and prospects, and we solved all of them. Okay, I'm not saying that it will be able to do everything, but that's just that. So that's a new product that we're launching. Details soon. And
that is so exciting.
We are super excited. We have beta users, and the results are amazing. And if you want to learn more about Forwrd, so it's Forwrd.ai without the A. And you're welcome to follow us and myself on LinkedIn, where we talk about AI and the difference between an LLM to machine learning. And I think that educating the people around what is AI, because AI is big.
Yeah.
It's even from the 50s. It's not, it's like, it's like guitar. Innovations are happening across the board, and people don't understand what AI is, what LLM is, what OpenAI can do, what they can't do, what's the difference between an OpenAI to an Anthropic, I don't know, DeepSeek, all of this. People needs to, and again, ops, I encourage ops people to really be curious and learn more about it. And I invite you to follow us, myself, on LinkedIn, on all those channels.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm really excited about what you're doing at Forwrd, Kobi, and I'm glad we were able to reconnect this year and have you on the podcast. And we'll probably, I know we have a few more things lined up in terms of educating the audience. So for those of you listening, stay tuned to what Forwrd's doing. It's Forwrd. That's how you spell it. You can go visit the website at Forwrd.ai, and then pay attention to some of the other posts, emails, and Slacks and social things that we're doing on the marketing ops side, because you're going to hear a few more different renditions and going deeper in different areas around AI and data that Forwrd's sort of helping to solve. And then Kobi, you got to, one of these days when we get a chance to sit down for a little longer, I got to show you what I was doing with Audit Hub as a product that I built. It was totally around this data hygiene thing, and I feel like you probably already solved it, but I'm so excited by what you're telling us.
I am too.
We will meet and you will show me. Promise
really
that.
good. Okay,
Sounds
cool.
good. Kobi, thank you. Thanks for staying up late for us. And as always, Mike, thank you for joining. And
Absolutely.
Thanks to our audience for continuing to support us. And if you have suggestions for topics or guests or want to be a guest, feel free to reach out to Naomi, Mike, or me. We'd be happy to chat with you about it. Till next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye, guys.